Right now, the media are so open in their bias. It's one of the reasons why the left cannot be allowed to win this election, because the media apparatus have basically mobilized full score behind the hard radical left position while pretending to be objective at the same time. It's insulting to the American people. It's ridiculous. They've given up any pretense that they once had of objectivity, but then they gaslight you by claiming they continue to be objective journalists. They simply are not. And the best case in point of this is the fact that Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential candidate, the likely next president by the polls, and his running mate, Kamala Harris, refused to answer a very simple but quite important question. Are you going to pack the Supreme Court? Are you going to add seats to the Supreme Court of the United States? Remember, that was a policy so radical that FDR in 1937, when he tried to do this, was rebuked by members of his own party. The Republicans did not control Congress at that time. Democrats overwhelmingly controlled Congress. And Democrats in Congress were like, I think we're going to hit pause on this one. Democrats now, however, are so angry at the prospect of Amy Coney Barrett replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court because they believe the Supreme Court should just be a tool of policymaking on behalf of the left rather than a counter-majoritarian institution designed to prevent excesses that overrun your rights, which is the original design of the Supreme Court. They believe the Supreme Court should just be another tool in their arsenal, and they're so angry that they want to openly make it another tool in their arsenal. This is the game the left play, whether it's the media or whether it's the Supreme Court, whether it's the executive branch. All institutions become tools in their arsenal. At the same time, they claim that those institutions have institutional legitimacy. So they play this double game where they wreck the institutional legitimacy, but then claim that you should respect the institution because the institutional legitimacy ought to remain. And that is untenable. So Joe Biden was asked directly yesterday, again, about court packing. Now remember, Kamala Harris was asked in debate just 2 nights ago what she would do about court packing, and she refused to answer the question, and Mike Pence kept drilling her on it, and she kept refusing to answer the question, and then eventually she just called him a racist. So Joe Biden, standing far away from Kamala Harris in an airplane hangar in Phoenix, Arizona, he was asked specifically about court packing, and his answer is so unacceptable for any political candidate that it should have the media up in arms. Imagine. I mean, you don't even have to imagine it. Donald Trump has many times been asked about particular kind of crazy policies. And Donald Trump's go-to when there is a crazy policy suggestion that he doesn't know anything about is to say, well, we've been thinking about it. We think about all options. All options have been thought about. And the media go, oh, well, that means that he's totally for it, right? I mean, we got to take that seriously. We got to take that stuff super seriously. Now, the difference is, again, that is Trump's go-to option. But Joe Biden has thought pretty seriously about court packing. Kamala Harris came out in 2019 and talked openly about the possibility of court packing. Other members of the Democratic Party, high echelon members of the Democratic Party, have openly backed court packing. In the Democratic debates, many of the candidates said they would back court packing. Joe Biden at the time said he would not. Now he has gone completely silent on the issue, which sort of bespeaks that he may have changed his opinion. So he was asked directly yesterday. This is not the first time. He was asked last week, 3 separate times in a row, whether he would back court packing. He said, people are already voting. People are already voting. So yesterday he was asked about whether he would back court packing. His answer was mystery meat. There's mystery meat. What could this chicken surprise be? Is it chicken or is it frog? Who knows? You're going to find out afterward. I saw a tweet yesterday characterizing Biden's response here, which is, do you take this woman for better or for worse? Do you pledge your chastity and fidelity? You'll find out after the wedding. Now, here was Joe Biden doing this. I mean, it's unbelievable.
They'll know my opinion of court packing when the election is over. Now, look, I know it's a great question, y'all, and I don't blame you for asking it. But you know, the moment I answer that question, the headline in every one of your papers will be about that. Other than focusing on what's happening now.
That is such an unbelievably unacceptable answer. Are you going to completely delegitimize the third branch of government by making it an overtly political institution in which you just stack the court with a bunch of Democrats? And he says, well, you'll find out after the election. You'll find out, afterward. We have to pass the bill to find out what's in it, as Nancy Pelosi once said about Obamacare. We found out what was in it. Wasn't that great? You have to elect me to find out what I'm going to do is a crappy, unbelievably crappy response to, are you going to completely wreck the third branch of government? That's wild. That is wild stuff. And the media just sit there and they accept it. I mean, they really accept it. Seriously. There's an article in the Washington Post today talking about how Republicans pounce. Very, very pouncy. See, here's the rule in the media, as my friend Andrew Klavan has said. When Republicans do something bad, the bad thing is the story. When Democrats do something bad, the Republicans pouncing is the story. The Washington Post headline was, Republicans continue attacking Biden, Harris over hypothetical court packing question. Hypothetical? It's not hypothetical when your own people have put it out there. When you have said that you refuse to, like, hypothetical? Imagine if somebody asked Donald Trump, are you for a federal ban on all abortions from point of conception? And he said, you know what, we'll have to find out after the election where I stand on that particular issue. Like, maybe not, I don't know. We're going to have to find out. Like, you think the media would be satisfied with that answer? But now, it's Republicans pouncing, of course. So much pouncing. It's a hypothetical. Pouncing. According to the Washington Post, Democratic nominee Joe Biden and running mate Kamala Harris are facing growing pressure to say whether they would pack the Supreme Court if the Republican-led Senate names Amy Coney Barrett to the bench. Over the past few days, the question from Republicans, debate moderators, and reporters has dogged the pair. It came up again Thursday when Biden was asked at a campaign stop in Phoenix if he would support expanding the Supreme Court beyond 9 justices. It re-entered the conversation in earnest after the death of RBG. Although the Republican-controlled Senate refused to consider Barack Obama's nomination in Merrick Garland in 2016, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and his allies have promised to confirm Barrett by November 3rd. Yes, because the Republicans control the executive and the legislature, or at least the Senate. In response, some Democrats have vowed to leave nothing on the proverbial table should the party take control of the White House and the Senate. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer hinted he would not rule out court packing. Again, it is amazing that the Washington Post is covering this as a story of Republicans pouncing. If you were talking about the Republicans adding seats to the Supreme Court, which they could theoretically do right now, they have a majority in the Senate. Presumably, the Democrats and the media would not be talking about Democrats pouncing. They would be talking about the underlying issue. But Joe Biden is so confident that the media will cover his ass for him that he refuses to answer the most basic questions, knowing that he can literally get away with anything. They can ask him any question under the sun, and he will say, the focus right now should be on Donald Trump. And the media will go, you know what? He's right. That Trump guy, he's bad. We don't need any questions answered. Like, really, we got nothing. Joe, you're right. Let's go ask some questions of Donald Trump.